So how are things going your way, man? You traveling? You or zooming? I guess that's a better question to ask. You zooming a lot lately?
Yeah, I mean that's all I've been doing is pretty much all virtual, just with all the chaos right now.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think probably for the foreseeable future, that's probably what it'll end up looking like, and that's okay for me. I mean, I prefer the crowd, right? I prefer energy, but it's so funny how things get normalized pretty quick.
So we did our first pilot of a global party last Friday, and it was. I think the hardest part was getting to the actual party, but once we were there, it was like, okay, we got to make sure we got background music going. Let's get some games up that people can play on their phones as they're looking at the screens and interacting with one another. And it was just kind of, I don't know, in a weird way, it was kind of like, oh, yo, this is kind of normal, like like I can't feel the energy in the room, being around the people, which is where I'm going to thrive. So how do I kind of artificially create that uh, in the meetings? Do you find that it's easier with certain groups or like certain times versus others?
Yeah, so I did 3 sessions last week with a company. I did 7 a.m., 12 p.m., and 6 p.m. because I did their global. I have a global footprint.
Yeah,
So, I had the US, I had Europe, and I had Asia.
Asia
And
was
so,
bouncing off the walls, weren't they?
yeah, they were. But just, depending on the group and just
Hmm.
the personalities and the cultures, I mean, it could be a very, very different vibe just depending on, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and so too often, like I find with me, my biases start to creep in. Like if people aren't bouncing off the walls, being very extroverted, sometimes I'll be like, man, they're not having fun. But then I
Not having
realize
fun.
not everyone processes that way. Some people just, they're feeling the groove and they just don't emote it like everybody else. You know what I mean? Like this.
Yeah. Yeah, man. In fact, and I think I texted you this a few days ago. Like my current role, I'm doing quite a bit of like video production, which is what I love to do in my spare time. So it's like just a killing two birds with one stone at this point. But I found, especially at the height of everything that's been going on in my personal life, um, one of the things I was trying to crack the code on is like, okay, we're digital. Like it's at this point, we all thought we were going to be out of this by this time this year, and we're not. So I have to train or communicate updates or just kind of inspire people or teach people through video creations, whether it's an instructional video like this, how you enter the building in this COVID world. I was like, well, where are there lines where I can draw on the emotion of people and really put together a video that when they launch it, whether it's 2 minutes, 5 minutes, or 30 seconds, it automatically just grabs whatever, whether it's like people are depressed right now because of COVID, or like we have counterparts in the Philippines. They had a huge typhoon, and a lot of people lost their homes. And so I was like, well, why would we ignore those parts of the story that needs to be told when it comes to delivering these videos? So anyway, I'm saying all that to say that was one of the other things that I found too, right? Because I oftentimes will be like, man, no one's responding to me in the meeting. There might be one guy, but like I need everybody's kind of voices in the meeting. And so one of the ways I started to change kind of the perception coming into these global calls that we're doing is I'll deliver like a 50-second video that feels like a movie when you're watching it, or something you'd watch in between a Hulu show, when they do those commercials or whatever.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
and it really is designed specifically to speak to the audiences. And I might have to make 3 different videos in order to accomplish that goal, but then I'm talking to their emotions through a video, then they hop on, and now I've got like their attention already, because now they're expecting that what's next. But it has been very, I think, both rewarding and kind of frustrating to try and figure out how to captivate the audience that isn't really there. And so hats off to you, man, honestly, as you're doing all of that.
Yeah, well, no, I appreciate it, man, because like I mean, what I find is a lot of people are just spectators anyways going through life.
Mm,
They're just sitting in the stands,
yep.
in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, yeah.
So sometimes it's not even a reflection of your experience or the event. That's just they're just got the popcorn and they're clapping and waving at the parade go by.
Yep. Yep. Waiting for the
And
first few people to go through it, and then yeah.
yeah, and so what you're suggesting is like all of us are better than one of us, right? All of us are smart. Like so, I all hands on deck, whatever euphemism you want to use. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
we're going through this together. Like let's just your superpowers being your authentic you. So I want to hear your voice. I want you to
Yeah.
weigh in. I mean, that's what you're listening. That's what we all want.
Right. Right.
Yeah, which is crazy. So, what have you been doing? These are crazy times, my brother. So, what are you doing? What are you doing for self care? Have you stepped up your game at all?
Yeah, I mean, well, one of the things that since I've been working towards the certification in agility, which is just basically like, if I was thinking about it the other day, like this is just resilience. I'm just teaching resilience from a corporate standpoint, and in the family life too. Um, and I'd say that that's really been some what has increased. So things get crazy even working from home. I'm not always off at like 5 o'clock or 4:30. Uh, but what has to happen always is that everybody's got to eat. So we kind of rearranged our family life, and so we don't have a specified time for eating dinner. What I do is I'll prep dinner, and then sometime between 5 and 6, everybody knows they can come down, they can eat. Um, but we do this one just kind of like focused time together as a family at the dinner table. I called it the midnight snack, because one of the things I was always struggling with the children, hey y'all, it's time to go to bed. And well, can I have a midnight snack? So I just made it into a thing, and we just have like a dessert right before bedtime. And we take like 10-15 minutes and really just have open, transparent conversations amongst the group, and however anybody's feeling with their emotions, or even like my children can point out things that maybe I wasn't even paying attention to about myself. They can point, respectfully, right? Um,
Yeah,
they can point those things out, and then we just use that time strategically to continue to stay in communication, because just because we're all home during the whole pandemic thing doesn't mean we're all effectively communicating with each other. And so that's been some of the things that I've done in really trying to stay adamant about us being connected. And oftentimes we aren't even talking about things that, quote unquote, are going to sink the ship if they don't happen. Um, like we're working on a family logo, and kind of like our value mission statement thing. And but we're doing it together as a group. And so those have been some of the things from self-care perspective, um, that I've done, as well as like, man, I'm telling you, this scoring these videos and creating these videos for me, that's what I was always doing anyway for self-care thing, just a little side, never going to sell it to anybody, create a video, put it out there, some form of digital art. And now that it's kind of my job, doesn't necessarily require that I do it, but what I need to do to communicate to such vast audiences allows me to be more creative like I would be in my personal life. So that's been very, very helpful for me. well, within that regard. I do need to start getting a little bit more physical, though. I'll tell you that. That is for sure.
Why, big boy gain a little weight or what?
I mean, I'm not actually. I'm actually holding a good, consistent weight. Um, Man, I'm back down actually to the size that I was post high school, man. I'm pretty excited about that, right?
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, and then you know what? I just realized it's kind of just it's a bunch of different things, like, less soda, and because we've moved dinner up so early and we're not waiting till 10 o'clock, I think that's played a major role in my body processing everything overnight. So but yeah, I just kind of realized, like, man, I need to, I don't know, whatever that is, step challenges or 10-minute move sessions, just, at the top of every hour, something like that. I need to be more mindful about it. I think I've just been on autopilot when it comes to a physical standpoint. But what about you?
Yeah, I'm a byproduct of my routines, right?
Yeah.
So I know how I operate. So that said, um, I calendarize it.
Mm,
It's on my calendar because when things on my calendar are important to me, they're a
yeah.
priority, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, just the whole dynamic around putting it on my calendar, um, and then um, and then it's just become part of my deal, like brushing my teeth. Like every day I carve out some space, even if I literally have 30 minutes, and when I don't have, even when, Corey, this is how maniacal I am because I know what happens in the brain. Even if I don't have enough time to finish the workout, I still go to the workout.
You still show up. Oh my God. Can we stop right there for a second?
Yeah.
Because that is a word that we're actually putting into the language of our family values, because there's so much value in, even if you don't finish it, right? It's the showing up that is the most important part of it. So like, if it's just 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
You got it put aside for an hour. Like, man, the fact that you went and showed up, I think that's plays a huge part in to the whole self-care process. Or I mean, really anything that you touch, but within the context of our conversation, like, showing up is such a big deal. Just show up. Just show up.
Yeah, because what happens, I mean, and I think that's kind of a metaphor for life sometimes. Like people look at successful people versus unsuccessful people. And sometimes being successful is just showing up and keep showing up and showing
Ye-
up.
Yeah. Yes. I yes. I mean, you have to. I was talking to a guy, and we'll bring him on here. He's agreed to come on to the podcast, but he is a marketing genius, and he owns a business, and he's been helping to produce like these campaigns to get people not to forget about some of the things that we've kind of been like, we don't need to do that anymore because of COVID, right? Whether that is like movie theaters, instead of those shutting down, like, and people not ever wanting to go back down that path and towards the streaming path, they've been trying to kind of help rebrand that entire experience as the industry goes through its changes. But I was talking to him last night, and he was just saying that he gotten a call from a mega producer, Hollywood producer, and the producer, I forget the name, but he was like, he played a part in the Expendables and in all the John Wick movies, and they reached out to him because they wanted to figure out how they could partner together. And so he was like, okay, great, I'll schedule a Zoom call. And the guy responded back, please, I don't care how we do this, no more Zoom calls. And so he was just telling me, he used the exact words. So then I just bought a plane ticket and I just showed up. And I thought it was just so powerful, because had he not shown up, he would have never cut that deal. It would have never went down the path that it should have. But he took that second and showed up. It was an inconvenience, which that's how it is, especially when you got to go work out sometimes, right? Sometimes it's just an inconvenience. You know what I mean? Um, but I like that approach. Like, even if I can't finish it, I'm gonna show up. I have to.
Yeah, because it's so easy not to. And I know, like, if I don't show up once, if I do it once, then I can do it again. Right. It works both ways. And so with me in terms of self-care, I mean, literally, like today, I woke up and I look at my calendar and prioritize when I'm going to get my workout in, and I'm going to go. And some days I'm there an hour, and some days I'm literally there 30 minutes. But the point of it is, I'm there, and I feel
And,
better about it.
and so, do you schedule like an exact time every time the same day, or do you just more take the approach of it doesn't matter when I do it, I just need to do it um,
Yeah, I'm
during?
more the latter right now. So it's on my calendar every day. It repeats itself at the same time. And then when I wake up, I have a cup of coffee or something to kind of get my head right. But when I start the day, I look at my calendar, what's in front of me, and I just see everything and make sure my time. And then I see my workout and I go, okay, when am I realistically going to be able to do that based on what I've got today? And I'll kind of move it up, move it back,
Yeah,
but it's there and it's blinking almost. You know what I mean? Letting me know it's important.
right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that that's important too, like because you're not feeling worse when it's not the same time because life happens and you got to shift things around.
Yeah. And I'm not beholden to any time. I'm just beholden to getting it in. So the concept that I have, and I don't know where I got this, but it's just how my mind works. I decided that I'm going to have what I call no zero days.
Oh, explain.
No zero days, meaning that, that there's going to be no day that I don't go at least do something for my self care. Doing nothing would be a zero.
Wow. And that's also very important because it keeps you aware, like it keeps you conscious as opposed to subconsciously just kind of going through your routines.
Exactly right. I'm just using it, putting it right in the front. No zero days.
No zero days.
I
I
don't
like
care
that.
whether it's 11, even, because the kids got stuff. You got stuff at work. You got craziness, but we got 24 hours in a day, and you can damn well get in some time to fill your cup, right? A little self care, whatever it is. Go for a walk. I don't care what it is. So my thing is no zero days, and that mantra stuck, and so that's just you at we got there, but that's essentially how I'm. That's what I'm doing, and I love the concept.
So have you done a no zero day challenge?
No, but I need to, and I love that concept. I was thinking about that. One of my to-do lists was to start that next year.
Yeah, that's a man, that's power. It's powerful because I mean, the simple things are usually the hardest things to kind of to do, but it's powerful because it keeps it right in front of you. And no zero days. Like I'm actually already thinking about how we're gonna incorporate that into this family.
Yeah, I mean, even for your kids, I think like for
Yeah.
around wellness, right? I mean, again, they don't have to play a sport in high school or whatever, but just making wellness a part, right, of
Yeah.
their mindset growing up, whatever that is, whether it's meditate, I mean, whether it's paint, whether it's to rock out to some music, I mean, whatever it is, do something.
Yeah. 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 Oh, that's the other thing too. Yeah, is rocking out to some music, man. We're just uh we did a dance battle as a family the other night. It was just it's good times. Totally good times.
Were you the
uh,
DJ?
no, I me and my son, it was me and him versus the girls. So we made it happen though.
Yeah, that's
uh
awesome.
yeah, yeah. I like that. I like that. No zero days definitely is a thing. We're picking that up for sure.
Yeah, good man. I mean, seriously, and I mean, the good thing with you is like, well, at least my kids are older than yours, but me and we do it together a lot of times. So, like for example, the text messages will start here with the family here in a little bit, and literally I'll get a text. It'll say, "Hey, we're going on a walk at 4 p.m. today to catch the sunset." That's it right there. That's a walk.
Yeah.
It's with the family.
Yep.
It's
The
this.
sunset.
Yes, right. So, I mean, I'm not even leading I'm not even the band director anymore. Now they're
Yeah.
leading because it's been embedded so much, which is awesome.
So okay, so yeah, let's talk about that for a second. The band leader, that the kind of concept. So like in the beginning stages of doing things like this, what how do you make it easy enough for people in the family to pick up and then keep running with the baton, if you will, of what you started. You know what I mean? Because you could just be the one. You're the one that's like kind of like, and then it becomes less of a fun thing, like because you're chastising people, like, hey, did you know 0 days? Remember? Like how do you? Where do you allow them to create space for that? Like, is it just a matter of like you always having those conversations and being that example for them, and then they're just kind of doing it, or you like pulling them in, and like, is there a subtle approach that you take? Like, what's your approach to it?
So it's a little bit of all of the above, but I find like anything, change is no one wants to be told what to do,
No.
right? No, I mean they just don't. But I'll say, look, I'll talk to the kids and say, look, I'm about to start a new challenge. I want to be a better version of me. I want to get in better shape or whatever the outcome is, right? I want to feel better about me.
Yeah.
And so I, kind of give them a little bit of background on, a little context like I just did it with you. And I say, look, though, I'm gonna need some help. Big boy here can't do it by himself. And so what I need is to help me. So would you mind supporting me, kind of checking in on me, making sure that I'm holding me accountable, inspiring me?
Oh.
So I'm eliciting a co-pilot.
Oh. Wow. And naturally people want to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kid or not, like people want to feel like their opinion and what their ability to hold you accountable or to bring something up, like it matters, like they fundamentally gravitate towards that. So I like that. Huh, really like
Yeah.
that
So
approach.
yeah. So now they're raising me. I say, oh, I'm not really. No, come on, Dad. Let's go for a walk. Or I don't. Or I'll be like, well, I don't know what I should do today. I'm tired of going to the gym. And then like, well, let's go for a bike ride. And so
Yeah.
and so after a while, like now they're kind of the architect in the thing, and I'm just and they don't realize it, but essentially now they're having no 0 days either because they're feeling good about it. And so it just becomes a new social norm amongst the
Yeah,
fan.
amongst the family. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Man, that's a whole t-shirt, bro. No 0 days. I'm saying that's a thing, man. That's a let's see
Oh,
something.
you're gonna help me design it?
Hey, listen, whatever, listen. Yeah, man. I'm
That's
checking
a
to
whole
see.
podcast right there, isn't it?
It's a whole podcast. No 0 days.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to run with that, I think.
Yeah, that's yes, bro. Yeah.
So that's what's happening in the Hughes house, plus all, getting ready for the big day, in a couple days. Are you done with all your shopping?
Man, I didn't even I that wasn't even in the cards for me this year, but I'm thankful because I got a random call from the school district and they were like, "Hey, a family wants to sponsor your kids. Can you send us their wish list, whatever they want, obviously not a new Bentley, but whatever they want, just put it on the list and we're going to try and make it happen for them." And then my coworker reached out to me and he was like, "Hey, a few of us banded together and we're gonna take you shopping so we can get your kids some presents." So, um,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, couldn't have been at a better time. So all of that's done, and I barely like I'm not even cooking dinner tomorrow. That's being catered in. So I just kind of been like, "Yo, hey, I'm just hanging out with you guys." I'm just kind of seeing what kind of happens the next day at this point. So, um, but yeah, they're really thankful. I mean, this is probably the most gifts they've ever had under the tree at once. So it really is feeling like Christmas. Obviously that's not the number one thing on Christmas, but it is just a part of it, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. And I mean, what's your youngest?
5.
Oh, okay. Still believe in Santa Claus or?
Oh no, man, I dismantled that kind of in the beginning. And
Oh,
I did it in a healthy way, I think. Of course, everybody thinks they did it in a healthy way, right? But I was just basically like, listen, guys, I don't want you to grow up and then all of a sudden your dreams are shattered because your friends at school told you something different. I need you to know that Santa Claus is dad on Christmas. Just letting you know that. Just kind of out the gate. However, the idea of Santa Claus, like you can still keep it strong. And just because you now know who Santa Claus really is, doesn't mean you have the ability to go shatter somebody else's dreams if they wholeheartedly believe in that. But I just don't want you to grow up and then realize you're about to become Santa Claus for your kids without having that preemptive conversation beforehand. So yeah, they don't they don't have the the Santa Claus thing, but they didn't lose the Santa Claus spirit, if that makes sense. Because we still talk about it, I'm like, this is like SpongeBob, okay? Like it's okay, like SpongeBob's cool, like we love SpongeBob, but we all know we can't take a trip to Bikini Bottom, like so so it's actually, I mean, it's saved some hard Christmases actually by having that conversation kind of up front. Probably not the best language to use. I'm sure there's a much better way to kind of deliver that. Um, but it did help in those times when we just flat out broke and we were like, everybody's getting like one gift, guys. That's it, because then there were no expectations that Santa Claus was going to come with millions of gifts that we couldn't deliver on. So
Yeah, no, I got it. Well, I mean, the good thing is you got each other, right? That's the most important thing.
that is the most important thing. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm seeing that there is a podcast called No More Zero Days, but you should have a series, No More Zero Days. There's
Oh,
ways
there is,
around it.
huh?
But they're not Devin Hughes. That's
I mean, well said, Corey. Well said. I didn't even know that. That's fascinating.
uh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
So, man, it's so. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think next year is going to look like? A little bit of this, and hopefully a little bit more.
yeah, I think so. I think as a people though, even as we kind of figure out this whole vaccine thing, like this whole medium that we're using to communicate, it's just going to get better. Um, I'm anticipating I mean, at the rate that we've been moving to innovate so that we can adapt to this global pandemic, is just kind of a glimpse of like our potential as people. And so I really honestly think a bunch of the apps that we're constantly using right now, we're gonna see huge massive changes going into 2021 that'll make the experience even more closer to being in a one-on-one interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the country's all opening back up. Probably going to be only the people who have gotten the vaccine. Like it's, probably going to be one of those things where you got it somewhere visible, like on your ID, that you were vaccinated, so that you can freely travel. But I think we're just going to see this kind of mixture of all of this stuff getting better in this medium, as well as countries opening back up, and the normal that we see now getting a little bit more stabilized. And then it's kind of how it is. You got an entire workforce that probably just works from home, or you close some offices where everybody's back in the office and they're splitting shifts and stuff like that. um, which I think is a little bit more palatable now because we've been doing it for almost a year, as opposed to when everybody was freaking out back in February about what we're going to do next. So I'm very hopeful uh, with all of it, especially like you see those streaming companies are deciding to either launch um, movies in the theater and on the streaming platform at the same time. It just kind of shows like this space is not going away anytime soon, and we're going to get kind of more immersed in to this digital world. So it's going to be maybe even developing new techniques of self-care in a digital space, because that's where we're at 100%. You know, uh, like the language kind of has to change now, as opposed to dealing with the population of people who are used to frequent traveling into places like, okay, this isn't going to change, so let's make it healthy. Like, how does this look? So anyway.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, agreed. I mean, um, for me, I am, it's like my mom used to say when I was a young man, and she used to say a lot of things. Grew up in the South, not formally educated,
Yeah.
but she'd say it over and over. There's no such thing as bad weather,
Mm.
only inadequate clothing.
Oh, snap, bro. Your mom used to say that to you?
Yeah.
Bro, man, so since the schoolyard, you've been out here teaching people the wisdom that was just like given to you from your environment and passed down to you in your genes, man. That is incredible.
Well,
There's
that's what I mean. So this, like a lot of this work that I do is just growing up in a household where I'd have these little sayings like that. No such thing as bad weather, only inadequate clothing. And
clothing.
at the time, it doesn't really stick. But then as you kind of reflect, you're like, yeah, stop trying to manage a storm. Just, you know what I mean? You'll be okay. You'll figure it out. And I think,
Yes,
and I think too often in life, people are trying to, don't worry about the weather. Just worry about how you show up in the weather.
man.
And
Oh man. See, these are those kinds of things you can't buy those. So like for us, one of the things we're constantly saying to each other is be good to each other always. Like, no matter what, and you know how we can get with siblings or siblings can get with each other where there's bickering sometimes. And I shut that down quickly, and I do so by saying, hey, look, guys, be good to each other always, and I found I found myself just kind of sitting at the table the other night, and I heard my daughter saying that to the other one of her siblings, and I was like, oh well, there you go. Like, that's definitely why I'm repeating some of this stuff. So man, that's cool. I like that. No bad weather, just inadequate clothing. That's how you know it's real, man. This ain't us like pulling stuff out of books and just like, there's a degree of that, but the other thing is that it's refining what we already had in us, you know to help us develop the language so that we know how to articulate the concepts and the scientific proof around, the positive mindset and positive psychology and neuroscience and all of that stuff. So
yeah, I mean, it's like, I mean, our ancestors, our forefathers didn't have any of that data. I mean, but
yeah, they did.
they found a way, and like, and right, and so I love the data, which validates what I already thought and what I've seen.
Yep.
But it's these little mantras, these little sayings, this little positive self-talk that sometimes when I was struggling, that I have in the back of my head, like they would just kind of, I could hear my mom's voice, there's no such thing as bad weather, boy, only inadequate clothing.
Man, that's gold, bro. That is golden.
And a lot of this, what we're dealing with sometimes you could argue is just bad weather. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's not going to be here forever, right? And even it is what it is, so to speak, but I'm going to have to figure out how to show up and be ready for it regardless.
Exactly. Regardless, I'm gonna have to show up and be ready for it. Yep.
Yeah. And that's my mindset with work. That's my mindset at home. That's my mindset in life. And so with that, you feel a sense of, I don't know if it's control, but confidence that you're going to be okay. And I tell people all the time, I didn't come this far to come this far,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And so, that's the stuff that I people wonder, and hey, how do you say this or that? It's just we all have conversations with ourselves. It's not that I don't have self doubt, or sometimes I don't believe, or
Yeah.
sometimes I get down. I'm like, that's just part of the grind, man. That's just life.
It's
I feel
life.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
And
so
that thought process also puts you in the mindset of like, you know what, no matter what, then a solution exists.
yeah,
And, instead of looking at how to fix the solution of the actual storm, it's the inadequate clothing that I can control. Let me go fix that. You know, let me go put on an extra sweater because it's super cold, or it's super hot. I don't need this sweater on. Let me fix that. Let me go that path because there is a solution here. So yeah.
And even in a work context, right? If I don't get what I need or the promotion or the right project, okay, well then maybe I need to reevaluate my skill set, my tool set, my mindset. Maybe I need
Yeah.
to take a new class. Maybe I need to volunteer. Maybe I need to like too often we come up with all these excuses. I'm not like, excuses to me, it's great, but at the end of the day, I'm accountable to myself. And so if you have that kind of mindset, and you can have
Y-
those hard conversations with yourself, you know, you can pull yourself forward.
Yeah, yeah. Interestingly enough, one of my mentees, I don't know if that's the word that you use. Oh, protege. That's such a better word to use when you're mentoring someone. A protege. Um,
Yeah.
anyway, she works where I work at. And she's probably gonna hear this. So hey, but she was struggling with just like some work things that are happening where just to your point, like certain projects getting passed on those or certain things getting taken away. And one of the things I was encouraging her on was you may not be able to control the way your peers are towards you or any of the leaders are towards you, and they may have taken some of the stuff that you had your hands in away from you, but the the thing that you can do that they don't have any control on, to your point, I was like, there's probably classes you can do outside of work. Like they have no ability to control that portion of your life. You still have a network that you're building. You can't. No one's going to stop you from building your network. Like build that network. Like there's all these solutions here, but when we get so heightened in our emotion because of how the thing is going or not going that we expected it to, we often lose sight of that. Uh, there is something that I can step back and reevaluate and go, pivot and walk a different direction and do something else or So there's definitely good things to learn or gain from taking that mindset of in the work environment, or it's the weather. Literally, it could be the weather for somebody, right? The family, whatever that is. There's different things that can always be done.
Exactly. I mean, again, you don't get the job, you get the promotion, you don't get the raise, you don't
Yep.
get the new project. I mean, whatever it may be. My point is that sometimes it's not even a reflection on you. Another thing, we tend to take everything personal.
Personal.
I don't take anything personal, right? I mean, to suggest that somehow you've got it all figured out because you didn't think I was good enough. Who are you? You,
Right.
I mean, opinion is the lowest form of wit, right? So if you if you don't like my mojo, then that's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I can go somewhere else, or maybe it's accurate, and maybe I've just been treating the symptoms all these years, and maybe I don't want to hear the real talk. Maybe I need to self-reflect and go, you know what?
Maybe. Wow.
But these are the conversations I think that people need to start having because we're talking to ourselves all the time. These are conversations I don't run away from, right? I'm just, we they use a concept about leaning in. You need to lean into that. The universe is telling you something sometimes. You want to collect data, then collect some data.
And you've been given, even though you didn't solicit for it, you didn't ask for it, like, yeah, it's been given to you. So um like take that data in, and you should, like, even if you, I mean, they could be 100% wrong, you still shouldn't like not take the data in just to see, because what if there's a slight chance that I'm wrong, and if I'm not listening or paying attention to that data, I'm missing a door that I could be going through that is the next progression of where I need to go in terms of my growth, my self-care, all of that. I can't shut it down just because I didn't like it and it didn't feel good and I took it too personal. If you can't tell though, this is me. Sometimes I have to pull myself back from that. In fact, if I take something personal and my emotions get heightened up, I dial back and I won't even respond back to the person until the next day, because I know that my response is going to be emotional and it won't have any. it won't make sense. Like I'll bury myself, if you will, if I respond too quick. And that's just where how I process things sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, these are skills that I think,
Yeah,
you're not necessarily taught. Like, maybe you have someone, your parents or coaches or ministers or grandparents who teach you these things, but these are life skills because, as we both know, life is full of ups and downs, and sometimes, being resilient enough to get up. There's that whole Japanese proverb, get knocked down 7 times, stand up 8,
yeah,
right? And so we get it, but when it hits you like that, it's a challenge sometimes to get up off the mat. But I think like anything else, you got to get up and you got to keep pushing and plowing ahead, and then you look back and you're like, wow, okay. And then with me at least, cool. I find that if I did it once, I can do it again.
mm.
And if I did it then, I can do it now. And these are the kind of conversations that I have with myself over and over and over.
So does it is it's worthwhile as well to say to yourself, if I did it once, I can do it again, but that doesn't mean I might approach it the same way.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, hopefully I've gotten smarter and better and more efficient about the process. But
yeah,
just it's just the mental energy, because it's so funny that when you have a little bit of adversity or something, the self-doubt creeps in,
yeah,
and and you start hating on yourself, and you just kind of like, that, whatever it may be, kind of the pity party. And I'm like, you know what? That's not going to serve me or the people that need the best version of me. So
yeah, yeah.